When a woman hurts you, the most powerful move you can make is also the hardest one. You disappear with dignity. Not to punish her, not to manipulate her, and definitely not to play games, but to protect your self-respect. Most men do the exact opposite. When they feel that sting of betrayal or the weight of being devalued, they start explaining, defending, and sending long messages. They replay the argument, trying to be understood, trying to force her to see their perspective. I get it. When you're hurt, you want closure. You want answers. You want her to feel the depth of the pain she caused. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. The more you explain, the less you are respected. The more you chase clarity, the more you lose your power. Silence does not mean you don't care. Silence means you care enough about yourself to step back from a situation that no longer serves your peace. When you stop reacting emotionally, you interrupt the pattern she expects. She expects the messages. She expects the anger. She expects you to ask, "Why did you do this?" And when none of that comes, something fundamental shifts. Your silence becomes loud. It creates a space, and in that space, her mind begins to fill in the blanks. A calm disappearance is different from vanishing out of bitterness. You aren't blocking her out of rage. You aren't posting cryptic quotes on social media to get a reaction. You aren't trying to make her jealous or prove a point. You are simply choosing not to engage in a dynamic that disrespects you. That is maturity. That is strength. And whether she admits it or not, that energy lingers. People feel the weight of a man who knows when to walk away. Here is what usually happens when you don't disappear with dignity. You talk too much. You say things you can't take back. You give away emotional access to someone who has already shown they are careless with your feelings. The tragedy is that every extra word makes it easier for her to move on, because you've already handed her the closure she didn't earn. But when you step back calmly, without the drama, she starts replaying the moments. She starts questioning her decision. She wonders why you're not fighting harder, why you're not trying to win her back, and why you seem so centered. That is when missing you begins. Not because you begged her to miss you, but because your absence contrasts with the chaos she expected. This isn't about ego, it's about self-control. Emotional restraint is incredibly attractive, especially in moments of conflict. Anyone can react, anyone can lash out. But it takes real inner strength to say, "I'm hurt, but I won't lose myself here." When you disappear with dignity, you send a message without sending a single text. I value myself enough to walk away from what hurts me. This only works when it is real. If you disappear hoping she'll panic and come running, you'll end up checking your phone every 5 minutes. That desperation leaks into everything you do. But when you genuinely step back to heal, to breathe, and to reconnect with your own life, the energy changes. You are no longer waiting. You are moving forward. And that is when people feel your absence the most. After you have chosen not to chase, the next battle is internal. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean pretending you aren't hurt. It means refusing to let that pain turn you into someone you don't recognize. When you are hurt, there is a rush of feelings: anger, disappointment, pride, and fear of loss. In that emotional storm, the instinct is to react to prove you aren't weak. But reacting is exactly what strips you of your power. Think about it. Emotional reactions make you predictable. If she knows that pushing a certain button gets a certain response, the dynamic shifts against you. You are no longer choosing, you are responding. The moment someone can predict your reactions, they unconsciously stop respecting you. Calm, on the other hand, is unsettling in the best way. Calm says, "I feel deeply, but I am not ruled by my feelings." That is rare, and rarity creates value. There is a big difference between expressing yourself and unloading your emotions onto someone who has already shown they aren't handling them with care. When you react emotionally, sending paragraphs, voicemails, or accusations, you may feel temporary relief, but it comes at a cost. You reveal how deeply they still control your emotional state. Emotional control is not silence because you're scared. It's silence because you're centered. You pause, you breathe. You let the moment pass without making a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. That pause alone changes everything. Reacting emotionally doesn't make someone understand you better. Usually, it does the opposite. When emotions run high, logic shuts down. Your pain gets reduced to drama. Your hurt gets dismissed as overreacting. But when you remain composed, your words, when you do choose to speak, carry immense weight. There is something magnetic about emotional discipline. When someone expects chaos and instead meets composure, it forces reflection. She wonders how you're holding it together. She wonders why you aren't spiraling. That curiosity turns inward. It makes her question her impact on you. Paradoxically, that is when she feels the loss the most. Once you have regained emotional control, a quiet shift needs to happen inwardly. This is where improvement comes in. Not as a performance for her, but as a commitment to yourself. Pain has energy. You can either let it consume you, or you can convert it. The strongest men don't waste heartbreak. They use it. Most people try to improve in loud ways because they want to be seen winning. But real improvement doesn't beg for attention. Start with your body, not out of insecurity, but out of respect. Movement clears emotional fog. Discipline rebuilds confidence. Every workout becomes a reminder that you are capable of consistency, even when life feels unstable. You begin to stand differently. You breathe differently. People notice energy long before they notice words. Then, shift your focus to purpose. When you pour your attention into something meaningful, your work, a skill, a vision, you stop orbiting around the pain. Purpose gives your day structure when emotions want to scatter you. You aren't distracting yourself, you're rebuilding yourself. Mental growth matters just as much. This is the moment to look honestly at your patterns. Where did you abandon your standards? Where did you tolerate what didn't sit right? Improvement is about becoming more aligned, stronger boundaries, clearer values, and a deeper understanding of what you will and won't accept. That clarity changes how you show up in every relationship going forward. When you improve quietly, it reaches her without you saying a word. Your energy shifts. She senses that you are no longer stuck in the same place she left you. This disrupts the story she told herself, the story where she moved on and you didn't. Growth rewrites that narrative. But none of this works if your improvement is fueled by bitterness. If you're leveling up just to prove a point, the energy is heavy. True growth is steady. You aren't trying to make her miss you. You are making yourself proud. And, ironically, that is when missing you becomes unavoidable. You stop romanticizing the past because your present is demanding your attention. The final stage is removing emotional access. Access is earned, not automatic. When someone hurts you and still gets your attention, your comfort, and your reassurance, they never fully feel the loss of you. Without loss, there is no space for missing. Most men don't realize how much emotional access they continue to give away. They reply quickly to be polite. They listen to her vent because they still care. They offer advice, hoping it keeps the connection alive. But what it really does is soften the consequences of her actions. She gets the benefits of you without the responsibility of valuing you. Removing access is not cruelty. It is restoring balance. You don't announce this shift. You don't say, "I'm pulling back." You simply adjust your behavior. You become slower to respond, shorter in replies, polite but not intimate, present but not available. This forces you to recenter. When you stop pouring emotional energy into someone who hurt you, that energy has to go somewhere. It goes back into your own life. Your friendships deepen. Your focus sharpens. Removing access frees you from waiting. It allows reality to settle. If the only way to keep someone is by overgiving, you are already losing yourself. When your energy is no longer available, your value becomes undeniable. Living well is the ultimate response. Not performing happiness, but genuinely living a grounded life. Jealousy is noisy and fades fast, but real peace is quiet and it lingers. When you live well without bitterness, you remove her from the center of your world. The moment someone is no longer the center, their power dissolves. You stop measuring your worth by their attention. If she ever looks back, she won't see someone who moved on fast. She'll see someone who moved on honestly. She'll realize you didn't need to win. You just needed to live. You've reclaimed your life. You've learned that peace is not the absence of pain, but the presence of self-respect. Let the silence stand. Let the distance remain. When someone truly loses access to a man who knows his worth, the absence speaks for itself. And that is the final word.